Nick Baumgardner, The Athletic senior writer. If you haven't been reading his draft coverage on The Athletic, what have you been doing? You've been with us on our draft coverage, and I did point out that you said Terrion Arnold was an option for the Lions to draft up and get. I have to give you credit, too. Rakestraw Jr. was a guy that you said a week ago with us, watch for him to get him in the first round. He drops all the way to the second round. Lions get 2 corners, Nick.
That was a guy, Rakestraw was a guy at the Combine. A lot of people thought maybe would fall to the Lions if they stuck at 29, but one of the reasons why we talked about I don't think they're going to stay at 29 was because I think when you restacked the corner class after the Combine, Rakestraw was a second-round pick. And so long speed was sort of a question with him, but just like Arnold, the physicality, I think Holmes said grit's all over the place or whatever he said last night. He's a physical player who gets right up in your face, and he makes up for his lack of speed with his intelligence and his just want to compete and outwork you.
So he said that about grit. He said with Rakestraw Jr. there's some dog in him. Translate that for us to the next level, because when these guys go from college to pros, sometimes speed doesn't translate. May the speed not be there, but he's known for his physical play, Rakestraw.
It's the ability to compete without worrying about anything. It's like a great basketball defender that gets right up in your face and doesn't even care. He's in your shorts the entire game. He's not going to worry about it. If he makes a mistake, he's going to move on to the next play. It's just that mental toughness and competitive edge that you have to play that position. And the Lions didn't have it. I've heard people chirping all day like, now they have too many corners. And I'm like, no. They did not have enough of this on the back end. And I think it was very important for Aaron Glenn to get guys like this back there.
We looked at the defense last year, and it was an issue. This team went to the NFC Championship, but we knew not necessarily an overhaul was necessary, but changes needed to happen. Are you surprised they did so much to change that back end?
No, not at all. I think if you look back at that last game, like, a couple plays go a different way, and you could point to the receivers, maybe Josh Reynolds dropping a few passes, but the cornerback situation was a nagging thing all year, and it just hindered Aaron Glenn's ability to play defense the way he wants to. They want to press, they want to be in people's face, and they couldn't do it with the corners they had. That was a big problem with Jeff Okudah. Yeah. Mentally, he could not handle being a press corner.
Brian Branch is a guy they picked last year out of Alabama, somebody who we saw in different roles this year. Where do you think he falls ultimately to give this defense the best opportunity to shine and also not waste his talents?
Yeah, I think this is really cool. I think this actually gives them a chance to move him to safety a little bit more, but also keep him in that sort of hybrid role. I think they envision him like a future C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I think that's what they hope he'll be in time, a guy who can play all over the place, but 2 young starting corners who can move outside and play outside and lock it down. You don't have to worry about that. That's so important long term, and I feel like they got 2 of them that are almost first-round picks, really, in some ways.
You know, when we're covering training camp, we're going to ask Dan Campbell, is Terrion Arnold the guy who's a day 1 starter? And they'll say that there's going to be a competition, but
he'll be out there right away.
You don't draft a guy in the first like that to sit
Both of them. I think both of them will be out there right away, and don't be shocked if Rakestraw's in a fight by the end of the 3rd day of camp. Like, that's the type of guys these dudes are, and it's all good. They'll get up, shake hands with the next guy, and move on. Like, they're really tough kids.
What surprised you so far, if at all, about maybe the Lions' approach to this? We know they had to address the secondary. Are you surprised they didn't move back into the 3rd to address another need?
A little bit. I think that I wasn't surprised once I saw that they got Rakestraw. Like, that was one where I thought, okay, if they're at 61 and a guy doesn't, sort of fall to them that they want, maybe they'll go back. But also, I was a little surprised to your point that they didn't go back up and try to get maybe an offensive lineman. Maybe that makes me think today maybe they're going to wait and maybe to get a project guard later in the day.
All right, we'll look at some of the needs the team still has and some of the areas they could address with their picks on day 3 of the NFL draft. Nick Baumgardner from The Athletic with us. You'll join us in just a little bit. Thanks for being here this morning.